I said, hi, my name's Colin McClimans. I'm the executive chef and owner at Nina May Restaurant.
Can you tell us what an executive chef does?
To be an executive chef means that I run the day-to-day operations and I'm responsible for everything that has to do with the back of house or the kitchen.
Can you take us into the kitchen?
This is the kitchen with the it's very small and tight. See if I can get everybody in it. On this side, right over here, this is where the pasta is. We're doing a lot of cold prep, pasta prep. This is the hot line. Okay, this is where all the cooking happens. So you have the range. They call this a range. It's like a gas range. We have a fryer. We have a charred oven. This is where we make a lot of bread in this like fire oven that's not on yet. And Martine, he's prepping his station. Okay. Got him ready. This is all his mise en place. So he has all his dishes. He has all the stuff he needs. Parmesan cheese and meat. This is a ragu for a pasta. So he's got little pastas. These are angelotis. So he works the hot at, we call it like saute. He does all saute. And he has this where he blanches all his pasta with water. Then this is Daniel. He works on the grill. So he does all the protein. And then the most important place in the kitchen, this is the dish pit. Our Pablo. Make sure that we have all the pots and pans. And this is Lizette. She's Lakana's cook. She's cooking. She's making kimchi right now. Greens. She's making into kimchi. Pastries for tonight. Okay, with cookies, bow stock. We have some bread. This is bread for tomorrow's brunch. And now we're back on the other side. So back on the other side, this is the cold line. Okay, and then this is actually the pass. So this is where I stand. Screen right here tells us all the orders that we have for. This is all to go, but this will be where everything comes up. And then this is where we garnish all the food. So these are all the like little bits that we put on at the end.
What was the first time you realized that cooking was so amazing?
I knew I liked to cook. My parents were good cooks, and yeah, I used to cook Christmas dinner and breakfast every year. That's me cooking Christmas breakfast. And I knew I really liked it, and I liked the enjoyment you got to see on other people's faces when you cook for them. And as I got a little bit older, do you know what you want to be when you grow up? And I said, well, I think I could do this. And so at a young age, at 13, I took my first job to try to get into restaurants and understand that. Fell in love. When I worked at Chez Francois, I remember tasting the food or parts of the food, and tasting the salad dressing and tasting some of the sauces. And having these moments of I had never tasted something quite like that. I never experienced something quite like that. And really being curious about, one, how is that made? As I had never, in anything I'd ever tasted, had something like that. And trying to understand a little bit more about, what all these things are, and really became curious about food. And I think at a young cook, textures has always been a big thing. Crunchy bread and soft butter is something that I love. And when I started working in restaurants, and all of a sudden there's crunchy bread and soft butter everywhere, and it's like being in heaven. You're like, well, this is so simple, but just so good. And I really, I love those moments. Your first time you have lobster, the first time you have shrimp, the first time you have duck, the first time you try a mango, the first time you try papaya. For me, we're all in restaurants, and I remember having these moments where I was like, what's a mango? And you see a tropical fruit, and all of a sudden someone gives you a beautifully ripe mango. And, I think for me was, instantly I said, well, if they're going to keep bringing stuff like this, I got to stay here. I got to keep experiencing these moments like this.
What was your first job?
I was a busboy. Never forget, my father took me to get the job. I picked up, plates and reset tables for a whole summer, because he told me that if I could do that and like that, I might want to do this for the rest of my life. And the restaurant called me the next summer and said, you want to come back? And I said, yeah, but I want to cook in the kitchen. And I worked as a fry cook. I fried wings and French fries and chicken tenders. The next summer, I tried to go to a better restaurant, a more fancy restaurant that was doing French cooking, and I really, really wanted to work there. I thought that I could learn a lot, and that's what I was really trying to focus on learning as much as I could. I just showed up, and I wouldn't take no for an answer, and I said, I'm going to work here, and you don't have to pay me if you don't want to. I just want to be in this kitchen, and I just want to stand here, even if you don't give me anything to do. And I ended up getting a job there after about 2 weeks of just kind of being there.
Did you ever feel like you didn't want to be a chef at some point?
100%. Anything that you do in life that is worth doing is very, very hard. And being a chef is no exception. It is very difficult, and some days much more difficult than other days. And there have been some moments in my career where you look at it and you say, what am I doing? This is so silly. But then there are also the exact opposite moments where you're standing there cooking and in a winery looking out on the Tuscan, sunset, and you say, this is exactly what I need to be doing. And I'm so grateful that I chose this path. There are always hard days. You just have to kind of keep plugging away and focus on the things that made you want to do this in the first place, and getting enjoyment out of the fact that, on a given day, you're going to cook 200, 300 people, and they're all going to be extremely happy and very appreciative.
What are some hard moments that you've come across?
Simple things like someone asks you to, chop 50 bunches of parsley, and you sit there for 6 hours, and all you did was chop parsley all day long for the whole shift. And you sit there and you're covered, you're green, your hands are green because you've been chopping so much parsley, and you look at, the person next to you and you go, what are we doing? In the scheme of things, that was needed for something. But when you're sitting there and you're saying, chopping, cleaning parsley, chopping parsley, drying parsley, chopping parsley, it becomes, those tedious tasks can really, they can be tough for you mentally. When you're chopping parsley, there's not a lot else to do but think about all the other things you could be doing.
How do you get over the disappointment and get better at cooking a dish?
There's nothing worse than working really, really hard for something and then having it not turn out the way you wanted it to or the way you thought it would. And I will say that does not change whether you're a new cook or whether you're me and you have cooked for 20 years. I'll say this today. I had something that we had been working on for the last 18 months, and we went to try it finally. I had to throw the whole thing away. So those things happen. I will say that's how you learn. You learn from the mistakes that you make. For me, I write everything down. Okay, so whether a recipe that I tried to create worked great or whether it failed, I always make sure that I take the notes on it and try to understand what I did wrong or what I could try next time to try to make it better. And that doesn't stop even when I think, to me, there is no perfect recipe. So even when we've done something 100 times, I'm always looking at it and trying to say, well, if we change this, if we did this, could we make it better? Would this make it better? There are days where everything goes your way and you cook great and you got a big smile on your face. And, there are days where all you're doing is burning bread left and right. And, you don't know where your head is. And so for me, you just got to keep your head up. And you just got to say, hey, what did I do wrong? Maybe too much flour, too much egg, my pan wasn't hot enough. And just try to learn from those mistakes and take it the next day and say, I'm going to try this again. And this time it's going to be better than the last.
What was your biggest mistake as a chef?
I've made a lot of mistakes, I will say that. When I was a chef de partie, so I was a lead line cook, the sous chef asked me to make all the mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving. I did not make them well. They were terrible. I undercooked the potatoes, still chunky, like hard bits in them. And I remember the executive chef being so upset with me. And I said, okay, don't worry about it. I'm going to make them again. Don't worry. I'm going to make them again. I'm going to fix this. And I went to make them again, and I did the exact same thing that I did the first time. I made them bad twice. I don't want to say that I ruined Thanksgiving service. My parents still talk to me about it. They say, how can you ruin the mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving?
How do you become a chef?
Fell in love with the environment and the space and the camaraderie that you have in a kitchen and the teamwork that it takes to do what we do and to create. And I really started to dive into the world of restaurants and cooking. Did go to college. I got a business degree. After I did that, I would need to go and get a culinary degree. But when I was in high school and when I was in college, I had worked in restaurants that entire time. So I took all the places I had ever worked, really focused on learning the most I could from every single place that I could could learn and progress and take different positions. And so I worked really hard and kind of worked and got my education in kitchens through experience.
How long of training does it take to become a chef?
So the great thing about being a chef is that there is no one way to do it. Some people train, and I still am working at being better every single day. So I'm still training to this day to learn new things. And I would say that your training never stops. But usually I would say if you want to become an executive chef, it's going to take you between 5 and 8 years of cooking to really accomplish that and learn the things that you're going to need. But there are some people that it takes way less time than that. And there are some people that it takes way more time. It's all about how much you dedicate to it and how much you learn about it and how much you really want to do it. And if you really want to be an executive chef and you put your mind to it, it can take only a couple years if you really work hard.
Do you have any words of inspiration?
I've loved every minute of being a chef and being a cook. And I'll say I've got to see a lot of the world because I've been a chef and a cook, and I've met a lot of really amazing people. We have people from Hawaii and Mexico and Sweden all in the kitchen, all working together all the time. I wouldn't trade anything that I've done over the last 20 years of my career for anything. It has been so rewarding. I obviously live a very different life, but I'm about to get ready to cook for 200 people. And the energy and the spirit and everything that has, and I'm going to celebrate people's birthdays and anniversaries and promotions, and the fact that I get to be a part of that, whether they know that I am or whether I even know that I am, just that energy and the way you feel about it is what kind of fuels your every day. You love to create and to be creative. We change the menu all the time. We're constantly creating and coming up with new ideas, and for me, those are the things that really make this job special. There is no playbook, and that goes with everything, and there is no right or wrong way to do it. It's just your way.